that for the Android one, and our developer almost committed suicide. The Android one for yeah, the Android version of the WebRTC library. So that one out of WebRTC. We try to build it ourselves on a Mac. We should already boot up a virtual machine for Linux to get it working, and then I don't know. He just spent way too much time on getting that done. But it works now. So now Firefox has launched the protocol security stuff, so we have to fix that. So we'll see. He's gonna spend another week.
Okay, guys. So let's get started. The event is broadcasted live on YouTube. So just to let you know. So the first will be Joe from Atlassian, our host for this event. We are here at Atlassian office. It's Southwest. It's almost the end of the technical part of the festival. And yeah, we're going to share our experiences, our different angles. So we will have Damasis, Joe speaking about WebRTC in general as a developer point of view. We will have Yosaf talking about appear.in, so to share about how it's complicated to build a product for the consumer. We'll have also Evelyn talking about telestacks and probably about WebRTC and stakeholders. So let's get started.
Cool. We don't have much to present. I just wanted to say thank you all for attending. We were happy to host and have everybody here. But in case you guys don't know, probably most people know what Elastic does, but we make products for teams that we can collaborate, share, and project manage. Down here in Austin, we mostly do HipChat as a main product, but we do have Bitbucket and some other teams and functions that are growing here. We've been a small office about 14 months ago, about 4 people. We're 140 here now in Austin, which is great. As part of the HipChat team, but we focus particularly well. Down here, we do a lot of the client work, some of the platform, some of the integration work as well with all of our partners. The reason we were interested in hosting is that while we are not doing anything directly with WebRTC here at this moment, we are always looking at prototyping and new technologies and looking at it. And obviously, communication is very important. In HipChat, we got video and ready for one-to-one. We're looking at lots of other future things that we can do, audio included. So for us, it was just a great opportunity to host and be able to kind of learn a little bit, and hopefully, share our space and pizza and whatever we can. So if there's anything else we can do, by all means, please let me know. Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, it's my turn. So I'm going to make a hopefully short presentation about the reason to use or not use an SDK as a WebRTC developer. Somebody wants to make an application that's WebRTC based or that has just a feature that's using WebRTC. I will try to make the presentation as little corporate as I can. That means I'm here for Damasis, but that should not be too much visible in the talk. That's my name. If you guys don't know me, Jacques Olivier. Would like to remember it. So I've been in the WebRTC ecosystem for about 1.5 years. I work for Damasis as an R&D engineer, and I'm best known as the guy who made the plugin. Because I'm the guy who made the only free Safari plugin for everyone. So that's about it for me. Let's go into the actual subject. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the usual feeling that people are going to have when they start using WebRTC. From day one, when you discover the technology, from the day that you have something that you can actually release, and that is used by actual people in the outside world. So the step one is The day you discover WebRTC, you check a couple of tutorials on HTML Firefox, for example. And in 2 hours, you have a chat with 2 to 4 people. It was awesome. And you're like, that's fantastic. Why did I not discover it before? And I'm going to add this in my application and create a new application from it. So you love it. Then comes step 2, when you want to actually do something with it and you realize it's actually super hard. Because WebRTC interface works fine as long as you don't have like NAT issues where you have to bypass firewall, this kind of stuff. As long as you stay with not too many people that are not too far away, that you don't have to connect, and so on. As long as also you stay on your Chrome or on your Firefox, because as soon as you go on mobile, except for Chrome, Android, nothing works. Same issue for IE, for Safari, nothing works, and we don't even have an ETA of the day it's going to happen, so we're like completely lost. Then you have, even in Chrome and Firefox that have full implementation, which is not full, but totally decent, but they still have difference in naming, or even in what kind of constraints are expected from this function or this other function. So you have to handle all these stupid issues, and also the documentation doesn't exist. If you want to find something, you read the spec, which is written by WebRTC, and it's really not something nice to read. I know it, I have to do it every day. So it's not fun, and so you passed from something that was like, yeah, this technology is awesome, to I'm not sure I can actually do an end product with it, and if I want to do it, it's going to take me like months, at least 2, maybe 3 months. I might not be able to do it myself because I need to have some server side, some stun, some turn servers. I need to create MCUs, which are actually very complicated to build. I need to have to maintain it, so it's super complicated. Then you go to step 3, when you realize that WebRTC is still on the way of being finalized, and WebRTC is sort of here, but ORTC is coming on one side. We don't really know what to do. Someday the documentation, the specification says something, and the day after it changed for something slightly different. Every time Chrome or Firefox send a new version, you have changes in the name or in what's expected there or there. So every time a new version comes in, you have to put the developer on it, try everything. Hopefully you have automated testing. It says it doesn't work anymore, so you come back and you say, okay, I have to change this, and so on and so forth. So basically, you're going to need people working on it full-time, at least 1 or 2 for a simple application. And you also have to have servers running on the background. So stun servers are not too expensive, because it's just like connecting and sending the data back to somebody. But turn can be expensive if you have a lot of users. You have to keep it up all the time. Same for MCU and SFU. It's both bandwidth. It requires a lot of bandwidth, but also a lot of CPU if you want to start, for example, recording, or if you want to start doing smart stuff like sending the right stream to the right person, or decreasing the resolution because this guy is on mobile and he doesn't want a full HD video. So that's also a lot of work, both in the writing, the building, in the maintenance, and in the cost of having everything running at all time. And so, so those are the 3 questions that you need to ask yourself when you start doing an application. So if those 3 questions are yes, this, and if you want. So the questions are, am I building a core feature? Am I building an application that's 100% WebRTC oriented? Am I doing Skype in my browser? Am I doing something similar? Am I doing Appearance, for example? So is WebRTC what I'm trying to do, or is it just something that I'm adding to an application? If I have a bank portal on my website, I want my consumer to be able to call whatever person from the bank, and that's not a core feature. That's just a side feature that should be easy to create, that should not cost too much to maintain, because it's not going to bring in money. It's just I have to do it because my opponents are going to do it, and I don't want to look too bad in front of them. Second question is, can my feature wait? So as I said, WebRTC sounds super easy, but it's not. And so before you have a product that you can give away, it's going to take some time. And in my experience, for a basic application, you're going to need about 6 months to get something decent running. And the last one can allocate resources, so that's people working on the application to make it and to maintain it. And that's also the money of running the servers all the time, checking that it doesn't break, and so on and so forth. So if all this is yes, you can do it. You can do it yourself because it's worth it. You're gonna keep all the knowledge of what's WebRTC into your team, and you will not be too dependent on another company that might change the rules someday. But if any of those is no, then you definitely want to go with somebody's SDK because you will not waste your resources and time to do something that's not your job. Again, if I take the banking example, your job is not to do WebRTC. You just want to have this feature because it's a fun feature. It's not a fun feature. It's a necessary feature to what your application is. I'm just going to come back quickly on the yes. So if everything is yes, you can decide to do it yourself, but you can still decide to go with somebody else because you don't want to spend too much time on it, or you want to focus on the actual user experience and not the technicalities of what WebRTC is, which is a massive issue, but a massive point of focus. So that's about it. That's the three questions you need to ask yourself and see how it goes. Okay, that's super quick. Right. Any question? Yes.
So you're doing all this work with the browsers. Are you getting a sense that madness with a new update, breaking everything every week is slowing down? Is it speeding up?
Yes, it is slowing down for now. If we see what's coming and break down very violently at one point. But now, at least Chrome and Firefox have stable-ish code. So as long as you're on the browsers, you do JavaScript, it's all over there. If you want to do your mobile application and you need a library to build your mobile application, you have to compile the library. So either WebRTC or OpenWebRTC. They move super fast. You have 4 or 5 commits a day. And if you go from one commit to the other, just one, you have a high chance of it. Because I don't know why, but the fact is that the way they push stuff on the Google side, they're probably checking what they need on their side for Chrome, but they're not checking everything that we need on our side. So that part is not so not at all.
Kind of an extension to his question, when do we get to step 4? Everything is more or less stabilized across web and mobile.
So first of all, the specification, that's WebRTC, does not concern mobile. We do mobile applications because people want them, but the specification only concerns browsers in the first place. So it can be desktop browser or mobile browser, doesn't matter. But in any case, the specification is on this one. As of today, the specification is not, it's a draft. It's still a draft and it's not a final definitive specification. And there was a lot of talk on screen sharing lately. They moved a lot, but they're not done yet. So it won't be fixed for another year, maybe. And by then, ORTC is going to be it, or at least the draft of ORTC. So it's the same. It's going to take a lot of time to have something that's stable, that's not going to change. And when something changes, you don't really need to care. That's not for today.
Do you feel like it's 2 years-ish out?
Maybe 1.5 years, maybe 2 years before you can forget about everything and think like it works.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I would say so. Well, I said the screen sharing, they have some major security design issues that they are trying to address. I was speaking with a guy from the WebRTC at Barcelona, and he said, we don't have the answer today. So, yeah.
I would like to add something on this. If you have a mobile app, then you are, the owner of your own roadmap. So anytime you can choose a version of WebRTC which is stable, but which work on your product, and then you are, in a safe environment. As soon as you need communications between your mobile app and the web, that's another story, because you don't, control the roadmap from Chrome or Firefox. So it really depends what you are trying to do and to achieve with your application.
I'm also going to come back and saying that it moves very fast because we are really at the bottom of WebRTC and we look at everything in detail. But again, if you're doing a very simple chat application, the main core part of WebRTC doesn't change that fast. So for 6 months, you can consider it sort of okay. But if you want to really use WebRTC 100%, then you have to follow the change. Anything else? No? Good? Okay, thank you.
Are you getting any news from IE or Safari?
Okay, sidetrack.
Sidetrack was your second one.
So as Themasis, coming back to my Themasis R&D job, so we are working with Ericsson right now to put WebRTC in WebKit. So with 2 implementations, the Ericsson implementation and the WebRTC implementation. So once this is done, technically, Apple should be able to put WebRTC in Safari and in iOS in a very easy fashion. That doesn't mean they will.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't have the link to give you, but I know in fact that Apple decides which issue has to be treated first by how many people are coming to them with bugs saying that doesn't work. So if you want WebRTC in Safari or iOS, you need to go with your developer account, say, hey, there is no WebRTC on there, and stuff. What's happening? And so by counting, they should take the problem more seriously and accept that they have to do it. But again, as long as the technology is not in the kit, it's not going to happen. So we hope to have something done with Ericsson by June. And then for the next release of Safari, then again, it's up to Apple. On the Microsoft track, they speak even less. So honestly, I can't give you an answer for this one. But Microsoft is very pro ORTC and not WebRTC. So they might just wait for this one to come. So they're speaking about Spartan coming with Windows 10, and I personally don't expect to see WebRTC in it because they have lots of stuff to do first to have a browser that works at least. And so I think WebRTC is not a priority for them as of today.
They have a status like page you can go to for IE for different types of technologies, and I think they say for WebRTC that it's in development, but I think it's for ORTC only. I mean, it may not provide more insight in that, but there's a status page you can find.
So they acknowledge they are working.
Yeah.
So they can do
We have contacts inside Microsoft that are telling us the same thing. They're basically working on ORTC, and that's their focus. And then they're probably going to release some kind of ship to make WebRTC work that way. That's but we don't have no timeline, and I don't think they have a timeline themselves. No.
Yes. So what does that mean if they're going to release ORTC? Does that mean it's going to play well with the rest of the?
So ORTC by specification should be backward compatible with WebRTC.
Okay.
So it should be fine.
Theoretically.
But again, it's Microsoft, it's IE, so who knows? Sorry, go ahead.
No, well, so they'll keep Skype?
Yes, so we were talking about it before. Apparently Skype browser should be using ORTC.
Yeah. So they are rolling out Skype Web now. Skype Web exists, and they have a beta user, about 10,000 users using it. Our new project manager comes from Skype, so we have some inside information there. They wanted to use WebRTC, but at least that's what would work. But ORTC was sort of pushed on them to use it, and so their Skype is driving the ORTC implementation right now.
So Skype is really giving them a target from what they already have, and since the people, I don't know how many people are still with Skype, but are giving them also hints on how to even do something that might be a difficult problem, like you said it has to have a dedicated server. Is that a physical server or just a virtual server?
virtual server. It doesn't
Okay. Doesn't sound like it.
Just need to have an instance running somewhere that says.
Okay. But they've already laid off, it looks like they've laid off their Link people. Maybe that was just an earlier.
Link is getting shut down and replaced by Skype for Business.
Yeah, that was where I was going. So they had already figured they were gonna, when they got Skype, they would do that, but now they're on this ORTC thing. What drives that?
Or to see, I think it's
Cross-platform, or is there a new function?
ORTC. So the specification of ORTC should be a lot lower level than WebRTC. It should be a lot lower level. So a lot more into tech itself.
So I could write a specific one for my new three-dimensional TV studio or something that originate.
I'm not quite sure. So it's going to be lower level, but I don't think you're going to have a test for everything anyway.
I mean, lower level in capability and features, as opposed to a lower level in the system. So I could, like I say, turn communication conference room.
I'm not quite sure. I don't have an answer for that.
the API is basically just, I don't know, WebRTC is very high level API. You basically get user media and get the webcam. This is more a
ORTC is? Or
no, WebRTC is very high level. ORTC gives you more control of the fine details of WebRTC. It's not exposed.
And I'm not the technical guy, but I was going to say ORTC has a much deeper level of integration with really access to different functionality. Whereas WebRTC is a much higher level spec.
So we'll be more eventual, more features,
More control.
More control.
and no big app is driving that.
Well, I think Microsoft is looking for their angle on it. I'm not quite sure why they want to push ORTC, but that's their push. They're meant to be backwards compatible with WebRTC, and their big deal is making Skype for web. Like you said, there's about 10,000 beta users on it. It's pretty poorly implemented right now. I've used it before, but it's getting better.
ORTC.
Their Skype for web is ORTC. It's not compatible yet with anything else. It's simply their beta.
So saying you'll be compatible with, it just says they're going to put a layer of API, high level
Yeah, you call that
API
shim. So it's basically
that will
just,
not let you get into that function unless you require ORTC as well, which means it's only going to be
Any other question for Joe?
No more questions, John.
Maybe you want to write. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
you guys can just go to up here.
Sure.
All right. Hello, my name is Todd. I'm from Appear.in. We create a. So how many of you know what Appear.in is? So okay, I'll go through the pitch. So basically, we are a video conversation site that works in the browser. So you can see us as, I guess, Skype in the browser. I'm told not to say that, but that's what we are. It is built on WebRTC. We were one of the first ones to launch. It is basically what you now call the reference implementation of WebRTC. So it's basically, yeah, awesome. You type in the URL you want to meet at. So this is WebRTC meeting at Atlassian. Type start there. Then you're connected to a room. Our microphone, yeah. What have to use it for? You send the link to whoever you want to talk to, you click it, and you're instantly transported into the room as long as you have Chrome, Firefox, or Opera. It's free for up to 8 people. We have a technical point. We can't support more than 8 people right now because it's a network feature. Yeah, you're just transported into this room. Scales up to 8 people, no registration, no installation, no nothing. So this is bare bones the reference implementation of WebRTC now. We launched back in 2013, summer 2013, and we were, I think, at least the second WebRTC consumer service that was launched. So there were a bunch of technical elements of WebRTC here and there, but for the consumer services, they were basically talking, there was us, and then now we have, I don't know, thousands, really thousands of people doing this. But as far as we know, we are the biggest ones. We grew because we sort of hit a market of students and teens pretty early. And we see a huge growth in that market right now. So I guess Firefox, hello, and if you count Hangouts as a WebRTC service, they have a larger install user base. But we actually don't know.
I'm gonna close one so this way you can.
Yeah. Oh, see.
Yeah.
Basically a transporter into the room. This is always fun with demos. The service itself works on iOS and Android. We have Android on web, works fine in Chrome. iOS, we have our own implementation. This is confusing. Well, see myself. Since we're such a small crowd, I kind of want to hear what you want to hear about. So I can talk about pretty much anything about WebRTC. I'm the engineer, or one of the engineers on the team. I've been there from the start, so I know most about our infrastructure. I've touched almost every bit of code there is. But if you want to know more about the history of it, I can do that. So.
Can you talk a little bit about the server infrastructure? Like, are you using ECUs? Are you combining the video feeds, things like that?
Right. So we are peer-to-peer, full mesh. Everyone connects to everyone. Everyone sends to everyone. That's been our implementation so far. About 85% of our traffic goes directly peer-to-peer. 50% is turn-based. Our server cost now, the last time I checked it, a couple of months ago, it's probably gone up now, is around $4,000 on Amazon services, which is peanuts in a
For what size customer base?
Yeah, so there's two things I'm not allowed to talk about. How many users we have, I can't give you exact numbers on that. Let's say it's in the hundreds of thousands on a weekly basis. Basically why I can't talk about it is because we don't measure it at all. We don't care about the number of users that much. It's hard to measure an exact number of users when you don't have registration. Right. So you're not basing our metrics on that. And I can't talk about how many conversations we have. So conversations basically I connect to you and we talk. But if another person joins the room, then that's still the same conversation, right? So we count the number of conversations we have. How many people are actually talking together on our service on a weekly basis?
Concurrent?
Hmm?
You do concurrent?
Concurrent.
Like how many people at any given time are talking?
Maybe I can say that it's in the thousands. If that helps. I can't talk too much about it. It's a SEO thing, and I am just not allowed to talk. It's not finished recording. So yeah. Basically, our goal for this year, and if we get a 10-time increase, we'll be as big as Hangouts. So the goal is set for us, and we hope to get there. So we are not a platform company. We don't sell the stuff we do. We are consumer based. So that's sort of makes us take not even business. So we're going straight for students and end users and private usage. It gives us a different approach to WebRTC than most other companies. Most other services like this go for the business segment now because that's where the money is and that's where you can control most things. We don't do that. As far as server infrastructure goes, we have one signaling server at the moment, just one, running in Ireland. That pushes our index HTML, and then we have CDN for static assets, and we use WebSockets for talking to the signaling server, and we built our own protocol. We don't use JSF or XMPP, etc. We just build our own. And the reason for that is that most of our team are actually web developers. So I think only our CEO comes from a telecom background, and he will actually be a bit mad at me for saying that he comes from a telecom background. Because Appearn is owned by Telenor, one of the world's largest telecoms. We started as an internal startup inside Telenor. We sort of have a very interesting history, but we are driven independently. So basically get funding from them. And then our CEO sort of deals with Telenor stuff, and then we deal with Appearn stuff. So that means that we don't sort of develop approach and we don't use the existing standard. We built our own because that's what we knew at the time. And so we stuck with it and it seems to work. Turn servers, we have turn servers deployed in all the availability regions of Amazon, and we use latency-based DNS scale. So we deploy a lot of turn servers, and then this is not the most efficient way to do it, but then we use latency-based DNS. So you ask the DNS server for the IP, and then the DNS will return the one that is closest, that's the lowest ping to you. That means that if you're talking to another person, you might actually get routed to 2 different servers until you get there. That's not a problem for us because that happens very rarely, and most of our calls are local. So you actually, even if we have usually only one turn server that responds to calls from Norway, for example. So it's very uncommon scenario when it goes to 2 servers. That generates more traffic, it's more costly, but it's only frequent, it doesn't matter. So that's basically our infrastructure in a whole.
Why did you go peer-to-peer? I mean, do you plan to change that, or that's the model you'll continue with?
So we actually see now an explosion of usage on mobile. So mobile is one of our major platforms we're going to focus on right now. So we have an iOS app. I don't have iOS, and we're going to launch an Android app, and I have a very early version of it on my phone. Let's see if we can actually get it working now. See, I was developing this right before I came here, and I haven't had time to work on it.
It's a long.
Yeah. WebRTC. So it's a native app. We compile the sources ourselves. It's going to join now. It's a bit slow. Once it does, we find the right URL. Only not good. I don't know what. I'm not going to spend more time. So yeah, mobile is going to be big for us. The problem with the mesh network is that it really doesn't work on mobile. You can't send out 8 different video streams potentially over a 2G network. Full HD, it's just not going to work. And you can't download full HD 7 streams trying to decode that and show it on the screen and do everything else in mobile. It's not going to work.
Sorry, when you say 7 streams, you're talking about a multi-person conference.
Yeah, that's a multi-person. Okay. We want to support that for our mobile apps because we see that usage. So we have most of our calls actually do one-to-one, but we see an increasing usage of actually people taking advantage of that 8-person limit. That's especially in the teen segment. So you have teens joining a room, chatting together, probably at school, something like that. The peer-to-peer model works excellent there because this is something we see in Norway mostly. They sit on the same Wi-Fi network on their computers, laptops. And then our service is great because you're only going to round trip to the Wi-Fi, nearest Wi-Fi, and then it goes straight back down. So you don't have to leave the school premises. That's excellent for that usage. And they just look at each other and then they type, they haven't got it. That's a new kind of thing we're seeing. And I want to support that for mobile as well. So what we're probably going to do eventually is have some people on an SFU, single forward unit. That's basically you send your stream to the unit once, and that distributes for you. We can probably do something intelligent there, like if you're on the same network, we can probably send it directly, stuff like that. Chrome and in the spec, there's also multi-stream support for, help me out with terminology here, but basically that you send 3 different versions of your stream at the same time, and then a device can choose which of them they want. So you can have a low resolution thing for mobile because you're not going to have you're not going to show full HD on your mobile anyways. Very few cell phones can show that.
You're sending out 3 versions of your stream, or you send?
The browser sends chunks such that on the server side you can pick
It can
to standard small image.
Yeah.
So based on the single form, that's sort of our wishful scenario that can work. We send it to single form, you tell them the client can sort of decide that we want the low resolution version because we are a mobile client, and then we can support it without having an MCU if we transfer the maximum same time. So these are all the technical implementation here is that we sort of is unique to us is that you can do stuff like this. You can move it around because it's just HTML elements, and if it's 8, it will automatically scale, move around. Style with the CSS, you can animate it, and that's only possible if you do non-transport mixing. Otherwise, you have to split it up and do stuff. Now, this question is more doing.
How big are how big are the servers that you got on the
Medium. We do M2 medium. No, T2 medium. So T2 Medium is basically, so we are, yeah, a signaling server is Node.js based. We have one thread, one process running everything synchronized. It works, and you sort of, what about fallback? What about everything? That's a really bad idea. Yes, it's a bad idea, but it actually done pretty well. So if our server went down right now, the only thing you'll notice is that this would say can connect or wait or something like that. Then once it reconnects, it will automatically reconnect. You will send in sort of a signed thing that says, I was here before, just in this room, you don't have to do anything else. The conversation is actually never interrupted. So that's the beauty of the peer-to-peer model, is that you can just, the video stream is still going peer-to-peer, so you only need to the server interacts using the room again. So we have some issues with that. Restarts are hard for us because you basically get torrents of people. There are stuff you can do, like wait, do exponential waiting, stuff like that. Yeah.
So since you say your audience is mainly people, not companies, or not people behind firewalls, do you see a big need on your cloud server, or is it quite open to maybe a big charges?
Well, tertiary, so about 15% of our calls are term-based. Yeah. Yeah. So, but that's actually increasing now. And there's a huge problem there is that school networks are actually one of the most locked down networks there is. That's very annoying. So actually, we got big in the city in Norway. Like really big. Everyone and their dog started using it here suddenly over the course of 2 weeks. That was the first explosion. Happened last fall, like the biggest explosion we had. And then we suddenly found that all the traffic just stopped during daytime, everything. And what happened was that the IT administrators, they just looked at this. Everything is gone. You're taking down our backbone from Oslo with the traffic that you're sending right now, because the term servers are based in Ireland, right? So you have to send it down to Oslo over the pond to Ireland for the term server and then back for all the schools. Our term service could handle that, no problem. The INSI-based thing, it was okay. But the school network couldn't. So we were just, they tried to ban WebRTC as a protocol, couldn't do it, because, no. So they instead banned a period on it, like the block DNS block. Yeah. And that means mostly that users can access it. Like, technically users can, basically, no. So, and then they can't IP block us because we only have one IP for the single server and screw it. Yeah. So, yeah, peer-to-peer model is here now. It's probably going to be a few down the road. We'll see how it goes. We know that Talkie has spent about 12 months integrating the SFU into their peer-to-peer model. So it's probably going to be a huge, huge issue for us to do. No, it's the fuck? I don't know.
No, it's your phone.
Right. So I can talk a bit about history because we actually have a very interesting. How many of you know how we started? You know our story. Cool. Okay, so we started as actually a summer intern project. So Telenor has been working with WebRTC for a while on the audio thing because we made sort of a telephone in the browser thing, like all the telecoms do, and started experimenting with WebRTC and RTC in general to get that working. And we wanted to see what could happen if you just set a team down to create something with RTC. So we sort of journaled a bit on our ideas, and we used Hangouts for stand-ups. That didn't work. We spent 10 minutes trying to get it working, and the stand-up was finished. So we wanted to create something simple. So we had 3 summer students over the course of 6 weeks. They were 3rd and 4th grade university students. Sat them down and said, create this here. Like, we want URLs, we want to share them, we want to get into a room, and that's it. Base it on IRC or whatever you know that makes sense, and see how it goes. So the first version did not have the limitation of 8 people. They just implemented it as rooms, and everyone connects to everyone. Within 3 weeks, they had a fully working prototype working with the. So one guy, he's like a huge math algorithm dude that he made the layout rendering thing here. So that was done. The only thing was that it looked horrible. So after 3 weeks, they had that come demo to us and was like, this is what we made. How do you like it? And we were like, holy shit. You know, is it that easy? And because you didn't have third service back then, you know, WebRTC is hard, and we really, really understand that now. But that was sort of an epiphany for us. So we said, last 3 weeks, we're going to give you a designer from our team. You're going to make the first prototype of this, and we're going to launch it. All the grown-ups were away on holiday, because in Norway, there is this holiday in the middle of everyone goes. The country just stops working for 4 weeks. So only the students and the younger audiences there. So there were no execs saying that, oh, well, we have to quality assure this, so we have to do this and we have to do that. He just launched it. Put it on Hacker News, wrote a blog post, filmed a little video thing with one of the guys, the summer students talking, and he got huge, like overnight. People loved it when we launched it. And we got picked up by a huge technical blog or technical newspaper in Norway. That made, look what the students made for Telenor. Telenor is the largest telecom operator in Norway, and they're hated in Norway. Yeah. So we are kind of big, and we understood that we needed to put a full-on team on this. And at the same time, so we made a streaming video service similar to Netflix, which Netflix launched in Norway around the summer, so we just shut it down. We hadn't launched that, and we understood that Netflix was going to take this market. 2 months wasted, thank you. So we had a lot of engineers out of work. So we just kind of handpicked the ones, and I got handpicked for my web stuff, and kind of out of the web. Put together a team of, back then, 3 engineers, 1 product manager, and our founder CEO. Sat down, created it, and it's become what it is today. Now we're 14 people.
How do you make money?
We don't. And we have not reached the monetization rate. We're running this like a startup. So we're trying to get a lot of users, we're trying to get product market fit. We don't think we have the product market fit yet. We're getting there, but there's a lot of stuff we need to do in the service to make it more sticky without ruining the anonymous part of it. We don't want to ruin that because we think that is very, very important. So figuring that out is a big deal. We have ideas, of course, of how we're going to monetize this. We also have spin-off ideas that we want to do. That can be monetized. Not going to talk about this here, of course. But in the end, it's probably going to be something like microtransactions selling stickers, since we are targeting teams, that kind of stuff. There's a lot of money to be made in microtransactions. We're also going to Asian markets. We are huge in Japan for some reason. I was holding a WebRTC Meetup in Japan for a peer-in meetup, really, in Tokyo when I was on vacation there last Easter. We got like 40 people. Awesome. But Japanese people. Really cool. So we started growing in this really odd markets coming out. So Stickers called one of the ideas. That's huge in Asian markets. Also maybe premium features, stuff like that. So, yeah, we have a follow-up for yeah. We're talking about our challenges as well. So we are pretty good friends with Talkie and Patrick Philip Hamke, who's the WebRTC man there. So good relationship with them. They point out about scenario code and tell us how to fix it. We do the same to them and how to fix it. We have connections in Firefox and Chrome teams, and we kind of give them the same thing there. I kind of lost my train of thought. Yeah, so WebRTC challenges. So we know that, I don't know if you read Talk's blog post, that Chrome killed the WebRTC star or something like that. Mm-hmm. So basically, Chrome released an update that killed all WebRTC services except the RTC, which is sort of the reference implementation, because they did something weird. Now Firefox is doing the same thing. They're implementing perfect for secrecy and not really communicating that to the people actually running these services, except for TalkBox. What's there something called? I'm not going to bash on TalkBox. But TalkBox runs Firefox Hello. So they sort of halfway knew about it, but they got kind of shocked as well that perfect for secrecy is being implemented. And that breaks our iOS app, for example, because it has to be compiled with foreign SSL or SSL version or flag or something like that. So it's definitely hard. We do most of this stuff ourselves, and most of our team are web-based, web people, so we don't actually know the details there. But we have one guy with a massive thesis on WebRTC, and he knows his way around it now. I don't think by choice, but he always gets stuck with the keyword. I don't know how much time I've used. Am I good? Am I way over time? Do you have more questions?
Questions?
I think my interesting to talk about why Telenor invested in total digital and initiatives like here.
Right. Okay, that's interesting. So Telenor is a 100-year-old giant. They're used to building stuff in the span of 3 years. They do rollouts in massive countries. So Telenor is now recently gone into Myanmar/Burma, depending on how politically correct you want to be. That is the last sort of greenfield where there's no operator from before. That's huge, and you can actually roll out and take over an entire country. That has been Telenor's business strategy going the last 100 years. Going to new markets, take it over, build out infrastructure, and you're going to have customers because of monopoly rules and stuff like that. That's not going to work anymore. Myanmar was the last greenfield that you can actually do that in. All the rest of the markets are already saturated with operators. So they need a new way, and they understood that they needed to transform into what they like to call an internet telecom, or OTT, over the top service, what they call it. We don't call it that. So they invested in something called Komoyo, which was sort of a skunk works. You want to hire a bunch of engineers and designers and product people, and want to set them to build internet services and learn from it. So we started out doing film and industry. This was before Netflix was huge, and it wasn't launched in Norway, and we wanted to release a competitor there. That didn't work out. Content rights are a it is really expensive to get film and TV shows rights for that. And in a small market as Norway, with 4 million people, that's just not gonna be possible. Unless you are big as Netflix, I can do deals for entire Europe at the same time. Entire Scandinavia. So, but the premise was still there. So we learned a lot from building that service. We hired a bunch of really good engineers, designers, and product people. So it's spun out now into several different small companies. What Telenor wants to do now is learn how to roll out and create internet-based services and work in another fashion. Instead of using Microsoft Outlook, everyone has their own sort of laptop that get handed out whenever they get and it's locked down, secure device. You have bring your own device. You have Google Apps. You try to work in a whole different way and roll things out, not in a span of 3 years, but in 3 days or 3 weeks. Roll it out, test it. It doesn't work. Sure. Roll it out, test it. Yeah. That's sort of why we are funded now. We're one of the first projects inside that ecosystem has gotten traction, and we still want to learn. We still want to see how this works. And if you become big, then the evaluation of it, the loan is probably going to be profitable for them, for example. Any other questions?
Sorry, what you just said. The 6 years of had an interesting product also. That's really what we said, and correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
It was acknowledging that today the telecoms are more and more becoming just tariffs, which they did a lot more before, and they had a lot of responsibility in the system. And today the messaging system is basically owned by Facebook. They have Facebook Messenger and WhatsApp. I think it's interesting that telecoms to have new ways of making not only the telecommunication the way what users actually use, not just the fact. So that's actually, I think it's a good investment. I don't know where it's going to go.
They don't think they're done pipe yet.
I'm sorry.
They don't think they're done pipe yet.
Well,
that's the problem.
Some don't, but I think they know what.
Yeah, Telenor is definitely aware that they're becoming a dumb pipe, and they wanna stop them, continue innovating and creating new things. So
An alternative ways to bring in revenue.
yeah, but
Right.
you always have to have revenue, right? There's no way around it.
Yeah, but today on Telenor network, if you want to go write I wanted to become an IVR company that integrate into their core. Besides taking a year to integrate into their core, or however long it takes, even if you were able to do it in a week, you're still writing it only for that network. And as a developer, you're not writing it for the world.
Yeah. So of course that's where it comes in. So SIP interoperability and stuff like that inside of telecom networks. And there are works in Telenor. I just don't know about it because that's an entirely different part of the infrastructure. and team there. But I know that they are looking at WebRTC gateways into the core network and having interoperability. But the pairing is not that. We are not going to have. Well, I said it now. Maybe that will change. Perhaps I don't know. But as it looks now, we will not interoperate with the existing network in any way. So we won't do phone calls or phone ins and stuff like that. That's not interesting to us.
When you said earlier you had primarily local calls, was that local to network or local to the turn server that you're talking about?
Local countrywide, so local
Just
to-
a single school?
Well, I'm talking more about country-based though. So Norwegian will talk to Norwegians, and Brazilian will talk to Brazilians. We have across the pond conversations and huge conversations where one party is in India and one party is in India. But those are very infrequent, and we can handle that load if it happens in maybe a turn server. But most of the time, like 85% of the time, they don't need it, and then it works great. Yeah. I can mention one last thing about the technical bit of it. So when we launched, Talkie started digging through our source code because they couldn't understand why our quality was so good. That wasn't to brag or anything, because we actually, so they, in the beginning, they had done a lot of tweaks to get it to work. We have done the reference implementation, and it just turns out that the browsers have fixed so much that they have sort of ruined by doing web audio stuff and trying to mix up with the audio and trying to improve it in those ways, that they had their performance was detrimental to themselves at that point. So our approach to all of this is wait for the browser to fix it, and then Telenor has started something called the WebRTC Competency Center in Oslo, where we have one developer now. We're going to hire 5 total. That's going to work directly on implementing WebRTC stuff in Firefox. So sort of contributing back to Mozilla, and that also enables us to be. They sit 2 or 3 desks down from us, so we can actually go over there with our parent like, this is broken. How do we fix this? That's really important for us too.
Why just Mozilla?
Why Mozilla? It's a bit of a long story, but basically Telenor is invested in Firefox OS. So we have a lot of people working on that from before, and that's why it's fallen off into doing WebRTC stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know about Blink. They might even do stuff to Blink as well. I don't know. They're pretty open. All right, I think I'm gonna let you talk now because I think we're way over time. Thanks.
So you want some web page, so whatever about yourself?
I was just about to ask. It's a shared laptop.
It's mine, but you can use it.
Take it.
Use it.
Okay.
And go on the web page. And then give the laptop back to me.
All right, let's share the web. So because the time is advancing and kind of got a sense of the audience, I'm going to skip the slides and talk about things that I think are relevant for this audience. We just go to a website. What happened to this keyboard?
It's a French keyboard. It's reversed.
Awesome. Yeah, because they have a circle, right? Yeah.
Where's the dot? It's not that
Found it. All right. That's it.
Okay, give me the address.
I think you lost internet connection.
Oh,
No, I lost keep good.
no, we don't get connect.
Oh.
Yeah, we keep using the Wi-Fi.
I appreciate it. We don't need more than one person to fix that. So let me just do the background of what we do. So I'm with Telestacks, a company based in Austin. We've started an open source project called MobiSense about 10 years ago, which had the initial intention to attract application developers to the telecom, real-time communication type apps. And that mission actually had success, but in a direction that we did not anticipate, which was to help a lot of the tier 1 telecoms, Telenor, Telefonica, Vodafone, AT&T, to start replacing big iron boxes with open source based infrastructure. So,
Yeah, go ahead.
all right, let me try again. So I'll talk about this for a little bit. So anyways, by the mid-2000s, most of the tier 1 telecoms and a lot of other companies had already started using OLSense for their core telephony servers, SMS servers, USSD, call control, CFSS7. And there was a company around that project which was acquired by Red Hat Software. We were under the Red Hat umbrella for a few years, and in 2011, we decided to start a new company, HotelStax, which would build on that experience, but would help service providers not only with cutting costs by trying away cloud and some expensive hardware, but mostly conversation around new revenues. Because as I already was helped earlier, a lot of them were struggling with revenues that are shrinking because the internet players are eating away revenues from messaging and telephone calls. So our new flagship product is called RESTCom. What does it do? Essentially, it's the call control on the server side that we need to build real-time communication apps. There was a question earlier, how would a PRN handle mixing of video streams? And that was not the PRN's mission. It is not the PRN's mission. But we handle that kind of cases when it is required to do call recording, mixing of multiple streams, different codecs, transcoding between PSTN or SSL and SIP, and WebRTC, because pure WebRTC is definitely seeing there is a growth trajectory to it, but in the world that we exist and we sell, it's still kind of a small dot in a big ocean of communications. So we provide that bridge to WebRTC. Most on the server side, although we do have client-side SDKs that make it easier to build things like the peer. Not nearly as polished, their SDKs don't have the UX that peer has done. So let me move forward here. There were probably 5-6 years in the recently that service providers have attempted to run programs where they would build their own infrastructure, their own APIs, and they would attract their own developer communities to build innovation. And that experience was kind of spotty. I don't know how many of you are into this industry, but if you've heard of British Telecom and Ribbit, $100+ million acquisition, we don't hear about it yet. Not surprisingly, Telefonica Digital, a lot of acquisitions, a lot of money was spent, gone, and Verizon, and all kinds of experiments of the sort. Pushing that forward, there was a realization that innovation actually doesn't come when you provide an API or provide some kind of technology to play with. Innovation comes from the developers, and they don't go where they're told to go. They like to pick their tools. Doctors, they know everything, and they don't want to be told. They like to be pampered, make their own choices. So as it turned out, in a lot of ways, almost accidentally, open source turned out to be something that leads in the long term the developer mindset. People that can, especially like the alpha geeks, the top developers who like to know what they're working with and make a conscious decisions. Okay, I know what it is, it's transparent, I'm going to use it. So we've arrived at this kind of evolutionary stage where we provide infrastructure and open marketplace for developers that have used our open source toolkits for real-time communications. More frequently now WebRTC related, but still there are a lot of IVR related applications and SMS related apps. USSD even in emerging markets would build an app, publish it in this RESTCom app store, and service providers would use what they're good at, their sales force and their marketing marketing machines to push apps to enterprises, to push them to SMBs and just their markets. So that is kind of our mission. The relevancy to this WebRTC discussion here is that it seems like most operators have completely given up on video in the sense of the standard way, like GSMA, 3GPP, and all those standards-based, endless standardization efforts that start 10 years ago and end 100 years later. So there are more and more use cases that we see from interesting apps that would build on existing call center, for example, application, but then they would extend with features when users would go to the company's website and there was 1-800 number to call. Now there's a click to call your actual image and there's a conversation, whether it's a healthcare or it's insurance company. So this is it's kind of an interesting way for WebRTC to get in and be relevant in even for operators that did not participate in the WebRTC creation, did not care to participate, and then accidentally finding themselves, oh, these actually can bring money to us now. Because the hospitals that have already used our pipes and our fiber for regular call service, now they want to do telemedicine. And who brings that? Well, the developers can build WebRTC apps for video, and they publish it in some way, either directly, which is kind of a slower way. The ones that are lucky to get funded directly by a telecom, they can innovate and play. But for the most, it's still nearly impossible to get the direct relationship with a telecom as a channel. So we cannot serve that purpose.
Let me tell you, it's not just in play. We also have huge issues talking to ourselves.
Understate your effort? But I mean, we've worked with had this discussion before this meeting started. We had a whole team at Telenor Digital working on similar projects, not directly with that period, but Telenor Digital is kind of the innovation arm of the Telenor group that does a lot of cool projects, and we got pulled into a project with Rescom. Yeah, Telenor definitely one of the more progressive of the 100-year-old companies that everybody hates. Yeah, there are others that are much less progressive. I don't know. Leave it at that. Congas, oh my goodness. Okay, we're on video.
That's just a comment.
They rock. Okay, does this story kind of make sense? Are there interesting cases that we should talk about a little bit more? Questions? I can show a cool demo similar to there, but it's not going to be as cool because, as I said, our focus is more on the server side, connecting things that are happening in the network after the towers.
I can have a question then. So, seeing this emerging clinic thing, is that for emergency services as well? So you for like the fire department and then you get them to or is it? I mean, or is it more for doctors and telemedicine and that kind of stuff?
So this is one of the apps in this marketplace, of the Rescom marketplace, and it's intended as a relatively simple IVR for an emergency clinic. You don't spend much time here, but in the last couple of years, the healthcare system changed in the US, and now there are a lot of things. But now they're popping on every corner a new emergency clinic. So those new clinics are new small businesses, and if you search on Google, you can do that right now as an experiment. You say a doctor telephone system. I'm doing it, I hope. Let's see. Try and find that.
English is a third language.
So let's skip the commercials. What is organic there? Other non ads. Okay, so let's see what else on top. Okay, so a doctor is trying to buy a phone system, right, for a new practice. You end up with a block that talks about wiring, PBX. How many doctors do you think that train on what PBX means? Let's see, VoIP, that's a very medical term. Pulse, PRI, all medications. So how is a doctor supposed to pick? Because these practices usually are a couple of doctors, get together, start a practice. And so the idea with this marketplace for telephony apps is that it is pretty straightforward nowadays to build an app that is designed to speak the language of the business that's trying to install it. So when you set it up, it takes a couple of minutes, and it says how many nurses in this practice. Okay, 2 nurses. What are their names? Okay, doctor names down. Before hours message, after hours message, finished. No conversation about PRI and SIP trunks and craziness like that. That's it. Yeah.
I asked because we get a lot of questions from telemedicine companies when we get into that space. So I think it's very interesting to have video, especially in the developing markets. So if you go into Malaysia or Indonesia or India, that kind of stuff, getting to a doctor is actually quite difficult because there's so many rural areas. But they're providing a lot of internet connectivity and phones that are capable of home. So we've got a lot of questions about how can we use Bulgarian sake, which might not be the best fit for it, to talk to our doctors, or how can we as a telemedicine company actually use you, because WebRTC is so much better than existing things that are out there.
A giant polygon system.
Yeah, there's actually people in rural India can talk to their doctor without going to 3 villages next door to actually find them and say like, oh no, that's just cold. Don't worry, you just stay at home.
Yeah, telemedicine. I confirm that telemedicine is by far one of the most curious use cases that gets people's attention when they ask about it. We have a couple of companies that publish apps for telemedicine in the US, and they get dragged to do demos in Middle East, China, places like that, India, the emerging markets that are way behind on supply of quality medical.
You don't have HIPAA laws. You don't have HIPAA laws.
I don't actually understand what HIPAA is, but I get the question a lot. So when I tell
It's like PCI compliance for medicine.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
It was designed not to be
That's the best way.
Yeah.
You get that? Understand that?
I understood I have to sign something, and that's cool.
Well, they're selling the data before. I mean, so you can sell
Okay.
all the.
Something about not leaking patient information,
Yeah.
but set in the most big possible way.
Cool. Okay. Should just have it on
Almost all doctor to nurse, doctor to patient conversations are unlocked. All telephone systems water-based and encrypted. So how does HIPAA apply? It does not. But when it comes to WebRTC new things, they better be HIPAA.
Yeah.
Is there
Okay,
any
other questions?
demo that you can share?
Yeah, I was about to say.
Okay.
So a really high level Telestacks has 12 core servers that integrate for all signaling within a 100-year-old telecom at the end of the day. Primarily taking IP to PSTN, SXSW, and just about, well, not every protocol, but the majority of them. Within the core networks, what was it? 80% of tier 1 networks. So they've taken that and they built the application store over the top of those servers.
Yes. So what I'm missing from it is, how do you layer? What's the purpose of the WebRTC layering on top of your SIP or PSTN systems out there? Well, is that okay?
I'm just about to show you. Excellent. Well, I'll get into that side.
I'll just show a bit kind of a diagram of the stack, if that was the question. Then I'll go back to the demo.
You guys are local?
Yeah, we're both in Austin, but it's the company is kind of spread all over the world because of the open source background.
Yeah.
From Europe and Asia.
Rather than nobody needs to know about the telecom component. All you have to do is the developer understand how to code it.
Which is good.
And we were integrated with telcos only.
Mhm.
So this is the technology stack. Is that was that your question?
Well, yeah, so I understand the old technology stacks, but the question is what are you guys doing to integrate WebRTC into that? Where does WebRTC fit into what you're building?
Oh, okay. So you understand this part here, you know, SSL stack, SIP diameter, fundamental media server, SIP servers. So the application servers from the IN and SIP networks.
Yeah.
And then, so WebRTC is essentially media signaling, right? WebRTC only defines the media component, the encryption and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So RESCON, which is this platform I've been talking about, has a layer that does the new WebRTC stuff on top of media. DTLS, SRTP,
yeah,
encryption, negotiation, ICE, don't turn for media. But then it eventually converts to protocols that are either G711 if it bridges to ESPN, or still Opus if it's new peer-to-peer. And then on the signaling side, it uses JavaScript ports of the GenSIP framework. It's been one of the most popular ones out there.
Okay.
And then there are the HTML APIs to make things a little bit easier to put together a client for a browser, and respectively iOS SDK and Android SDK to make it a little bit easier to put communications into apps.
Okay.
So as I can see, you use Java a lot.
Yeah, this whole thing is pure Java.
Yeah.
It's a choice made a long time ago, and it helped keep this whole thing pretty tight. So all of this is like 100 megabytes when you install it, everything. Pick any vendor, any media server you need, like a large, extra large on Amazon to run just a media server. Ours just runs as part of the stack on Medium.
You're still on the account field. Don't put the password there.
I'm looking at the ad sign. We're trying to find it.
Top left.
Got it.
French.
There's a French part.
Yeah, everybody's best.
Oh, this got to be tough.
Isn't it just password?
Yeah, I'm trying to focus here.
These numbers. That's too complicated.
It's the same password I have on my browser.
Password?
I knew it. There's no point of it in there, right?
Here as well, when presentations are already live. I have those slides.
I'll do a real presentation. Just bring up a new instance.
Okay, the tricks, if you do numbers, you have to keep using shift and number at the same time.
Oh, really?
That's one.
We don't know. Okay.
We don't know your password, so
I'm gonna talk to you about that.
say, I won't tell anybody if you just want to type that out in a text editor first. And,
If I type it 2 more times, I'll forget the password. A couple more times and I'll forget it.
Okay. If you want, you can unplug it from the TV. Yeah, do that. You can unplug it from the TV, then use the text editor. You can see your password on there.
Can I see it somewhere?
Yeah, just open a new tab and
Oh, okay.
do it clearly. And we won't watch.
So you remember it anymore.
Now you
So many failures.
will send your password to Google.
Yeah, why?
Only
Quality is
Google.
the stream.
I won't.
I didn't try to speak French. Je m'appelle la Guinée.
It's really a big failure.
Anybody else notice the forms?
Yeah,
Taxes.
exactly.
Came straight off Cadillac.
Very Cadillacs.
Oh, Texans.
Congratulations, finally.
Texans are the only ones who buy Cadillacs. So. All right, so this is the platform that manages numbers and endpoints. In RESTCOM, a WebRTC endpoint is essentially a SIP number. Way to address something.
So it's phone messaging, video, conferencing throughout, recording, doing whatever else.
So if I want to run and install an app from the App Store, I can go here and look at what's available, get a new one, or some of these ones on top are installed, so I can configure them, the way they operate.
Or you can write in logic.
Yeah, there is a visual design tool for goodness.
Okay, you need to go through that. Maybe it's 16
Muscle memory.
Yeah, on a clipboard.
Yeah, it's not soon.
We're getting better and better.
My French is getting better.
Some people can even use it fluently, you know.
So this is a tool for the visual environment for building apps. Let's pick one. So it's a simple IVR app. Welcome to post tags, little message, and then notice that here it has a little bit of programmatic capability. These variables are what's passed in the configuration screen. So for example, if it was the clinic app, it would be in the configuration screen with the variables of what other names of the nurses. So simple tree menu here. Continue to the next step, which is your message. This is your message, record it. And once it's recorded, then this app would make a call out to a web service that would do something else. And in this case, it's a web service which takes the location of the recording and sends it out by email to whoever owns this app. And so, once this app is built, tested, you can sell it to a zip file. You can push it on the App Store and sell it if you think it's valuable enough to make money out of it. The source code of an app is essentially free. Yeah, that's what the platform runs. And this is Twilio language compatible for the most part.
Really?
Yes.
All right.
Who's that?
You can't do that with me. I'm gonna explain.
So we can do something simple to demo here. This is a live instance that actually we use all the time, and I have an app here somewhere. This one is mine. So let's see. I don't know how this TT is going to translate WebRTC, but we can try. Where's the W? Save it, so we'll find out. Oh, do you have a US number? You have a US number, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to make a call?
Yeah, sure.
512 62188. What's this number? 688.
Powered by Restcom.
Okay, we'll go again. We missed the first part. The announcements. Still very good.
Yeah.
Let's find out what it says. What it's supposed to.
Powered by Restcom. Welcome to WebRTC Austin Conference Bridge. Powered by Restcom.
So, slash modification. And we're both in the same, we were in the same conference call. You want to try that? So we're in a conference call.
To WebRTC Austin Conference Bridge. Welcome to WebRTC Austin Conference Bridge. Powered by Restcom.
Does this thing work? Oh, it is.
Good job.
So, yeah, most of the also launched this real-time implementation, which put it on the fly of the sub-projects of this whole stack that it deals with WebRTC is called Olympus. And let's see if I want to take. So this project deals with the browser toolkits for WebRTC client. It's the first step. Okay, did that deal make sense? Enough direction, good time. 5 to 9. All right. Well, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Who next?
I think we're all
We're all wrapped up. All right.
now.
Yeah.
Thank you again.
Thank you, guys.
Here's